canned chicken should be one of the simplest products in your pantry. Chicken, water, salt, 3 ingredients. That's the complete list for what this product is supposed to be. Now look at what's actually inside most of the cans on the shelf. Modified food starch, sodium phosphate, rice starch, bioengineered ingredients from genetically modified corn, undefined flavorings. Some of these cans are so full of liquid that after you drain them, you're left with a can that's more water than meat. What you paid for as chicken, you're actually getting as diluted, additive-padded protein paste in a tin. 5 brands to stop buying, 2 worth opening. We go from lower concerns to the worst offender. The brand at number 1 has been in American kitchens since 1945. The ingredient list is why that matters. Number 5. Sweet Sue Chunk Chicken. Sweet Sue has been around since the 19th century. That history doesn't protect what's inside the can. Across multiple independent taste tests, Sweet Sue's texture is described the same way every time. Mushy, stringy, almost no structural integrity when you drain it. The meat-to-liquid ratio is the first tell. Open the can and the contents are swimming. After draining, what remains is a collection of soft, pale shreds that fall apart when you try to portion them. That softness isn't a texture preference. It's a sign of how extensively the meat has been processed before it reaches you. The flavor follows the same pattern. There's a faint, flat saltiness and not much else underneath it. No genuine chicken flavor because the processing strips that out, and nothing in the formulation is designed to put it back. Sweet Sue works in dishes where everything gets buried under sauce because the chicken itself brings almost nothing to the plate. That's not a description of a quality protein. That's a description of a filler. Number 4. Great Value Chunk Chicken in Water. At first glance, Great Value's standard chunk chicken looks clean. Chicken breast, water, salt, sodium phosphate, modified food starch. Affordable, widely available, a reasonable seeming budget choice. The problems are the sodium phosphate and the modified food starch. Sodium phosphate is added to retain moisture and improve texture in processed meat. Research flagged by the Environmental Working Group has linked excessive sodium phosphate consumption to elevated mortality risk and particular concerns for people managing kidney function. It's not in this can because it makes the chicken better. It's there because without it, the processed meat wouldn't hold together well enough to survive the canning process and still look like chicken on the other side. Modified food starch is a thickener. Its job is to give the liquid in the can a slightly thicker, more substantial quality so the contents don't feel like meat floating in plain water. Neither additive is there for flavor. Both are there to compensate for what the processing removed. The meat-to-water ratio is also a consistent complaint. Reddit users and consumer reviewers repeatedly report opening a Great Value can to find it more liquid than chicken. After draining, the quantity of actual meat is noticeably less than the can size implies. Number 3. Hormel Premium Chunk Chicken Breast. Hormel is a trusted name in canned meat, and the ingredient list here is better than most of the worst offenders in this category, but it still contains modified food starch, sodium phosphate, and additional flavorings that the label doesn't define further. Additional flavorings in a can of chicken is the same opacity problem you find across processed food categories. It's a catch-all designation that covers a range of compounds the manufacturer isn't required to disclose individually. In a product whose entire value proposition is simple, clean protein, that category has no business being there. It means the chicken alone wasn't producing enough flavor to make the product taste like what it's supposed to be. The sodium phosphate concern applies here the same way it does in the Great Value product. The price point on Hormel is meaningfully higher than budget alternatives, which makes the continued presence of these additives a harder sell. You're paying more for a product that still needed the same industrial scaffolding as the cheaper options below it. Number 2. Tyson Premium Chunk White Chicken. Tyson is the largest chicken producer in the United States. The scale of their operation is enormous, which means the canned product is drawing from the same industrial supply chain that produces their fresh and frozen lines. That scale has trade-offs. Multiple independent reviewers and consumer complaints describe a distinctive off-taste in Tyson's canned chicken. One reviewer, echoed by others, described it as resembling a cleaning solution taste. That specific description, appearing across multiple independent sources and multiple purchase occasions, suggests something systemic rather than an isolated bad batch. The ingredient list includes modified food starch and sodium phosphate, consistent with the lower tier products already on this list. But the flavor issue is the more significant concern here. A canned chicken product where the flavor reads as chemical rather than chicken has a processing problem that the ingredient panel won't tell you about directly. It shows up when you open the can and taste what's inside. Number 1. Swanson White Premium Chunk Chicken Breast. Swanson has been canning chicken since 1945. The brand is synonymous with poultry products. Their broth is widely regarded as one of the better options in that category. None of that transfers to what's inside the canned chicken. The ingredient list: white chicken breast with rib meat, water, and then modified food starch, rice starch, and sodium phosphate. 2 separate starches in a can of chicken. Modified food starch and rice starch are both thickeners. Their combined presence means the liquid in this can has been significantly engineered to feel more substantial than it is. The chicken isn't producing that body, the starches are. The packaging is also required to disclose that the product contains a bioengineered food ingredient specifically from genetically modified corn. That corn derivative is the source of the modified food starch. It's disclosed because federal labeling law requires it. Most people opening a can of chicken are not thinking about genetically modified corn derivatives in their protein source. Then there's what independent tasters found when they opened the can: fatty skin, discoloration that reviewers described as resembling blood clots, though it may have been myoglobin, a naturally occurring protein that can stain meat during canning. One tasting panel at a major food publication declined to taste the product at all out of an abundance of caution. The label says premium. The contents have produced that reaction across multiple independent evaluations. Swanson earns billions annually across its product line. Removing the starches, eliminating the sodium phosphate, and sourcing chicken that doesn't produce alarming discoloration in the can are all achievable. The decision to maintain this formulation is sustained by brand recognition strong enough that most people who buy it never read what's behind the label. Now here's what actually passed. Best Option 2. Kirkland Signature Premium Chunk Chicken Breast. Costco's house brand, available only in multi-packs, which is the one practical limitation, but the quality to price ratio is better than anything else in the mainstream canned chicken market. The ingredient list: chicken breast, water, salt. 3 ingredients: no sodium phosphate, no modified food starch, no thickeners, no undefined flavorings, no bioengineered disclosures, just chicken, water, and salt in exactly the proportion you'd expect if someone packed real chicken into a can and stopped there. The meat-to-liquid ratio reflects the ingredient list. After draining, Kirkland cans consistently yield solid, identifiable chunks of breast meat. Not shreds, not paste, actual pieces of chicken with visible grain and structure. Reddit's food communities consistently cite Kirkland Signature as the gold standard for canned chicken, not because of branding, but because it behaves like chicken when you use it. It holds together in a salad. It doesn't fall apart in a wrap. It tastes like a chicken breast that was cooked and canned rather than processed into something adjacent to chicken. Around $2 per can when purchased in the 6-pack. That price, for that ingredient list and that meat quality, is the most straightforward value proposition in this entire category. Best Option 1. Wild Planet Organic Roasted Chicken Breast. Wild Planet does something no other mainstream brand in this category does. They roast the chicken directly in the can before sealing it. That single production decision changes everything about the product. The chicken cooks in its own juices. No water is added. No liquid is packed around the meat to fill the can. No starches are needed to thicken that liquid, because there is no added liquid to thicken. What you open is a can of chicken that has been sitting in its own natural moisture since the day it was sealed. The ingredient list for the salted version: organic chicken breast with rib meat and sea salt. 2 ingredients. The no salt version is 1 ingredient. That's it. The cans are BPA free. The chickens are USDA certified organic, free range, raised on a non-GMO diet on American farms, and never given antibiotics. Wild Planet publishes all of this clearly because transparency is the basis of their brand, not a marketing afterthought. Open a can and the difference is immediate and visual. No standing liquid to drain. The chicken is sitting in a small amount of its own natural juice, not submerged, in starch-thickened water. The chunks are firm. The texture has grain and resistance. The flavor is actually roasted chicken, with a depth that water-packed canned chicken structurally cannot produce because the cooking method that creates it was never applied. Available at Whole Foods, Kroger, Target, and online. Around $4 to $5 for a 5-ounce can, higher per ounce than Kirkland. The difference is organic sourcing, BPA-free packaging, and a roasting process that produces a product meaningfully closer to actual cooked chicken than anything else in a can on that shelf. The canned chicken aisle is one of the clearest demonstrations of the gap between what a label implies and what a product actually is. Most of the cans are built around the same problem. The chicken was processed enough that it needed starches to hold together, sodium phosphate to retain moisture, and undefined flavorings to taste like something. Those additives are the evidence of that problem, written right there in the ingredient list for anyone who looks. The two brands that passed solved the problem differently. Kirkland started with better sourcing and a cleaner process, and stopped adding things. Wild Planet went further by changing the production method entirely, roasting the chicken first so nothing needs to be added afterward. Next time you're standing in that aisle, flip the can before it goes in the cart. If you see modified food starch, the chicken needed a thickener to hold together. If you see sodium phosphate, the meat needed a chemical to retain moisture it couldn't hold on its own. If the label says it contains a bioengineered food ingredient, ask why corn derivatives are in your chicken. The two worth buying say exactly what they are: chicken, water, salt, or just chicken. The 5 on this list are built around the assumption that most people will read premium on the front and never turn the can over.